What's up, Guardians, and welcome back, Titans. I'm Profane, thanks for checking out the video. Today we're checking out what's about to be one of the most dominating Titan builds in in-game content when the new Revenant episode launches. Titans are about to see a number of upgrades that will enhance several abilities, including the functionality of Barricades, the performance of Unbreakable and Knockout, and many others. And as these changes go into effect, we're also going to see Void Overshields getting a substantial upgrade, now providing a 70% damage resistance bonus as opposed to 50%. These changes should see Titans take on a more tankish role here in Destiny 2, providing much more team support than ever before, something we've never really gotten to experience with Titans. And because of these changes, there are a number of exotic armor pieces that will finally have the ability to become cohesive and excel throughout Revenant. One such exotic is the Arbor Warden, an exotic that was released back in the Season of the Deep, but has never really been able to fit in. This chest piece provides the Barricade intrinsic trait, which converts your standard barricade into a throwable barricade. So by activating your class ability, your character will perform a unique animation that converts the barricade into a throwable grenade. And while you're in this animation, you will have increased damage resistance. Once it's been converted, the Barricade will now take over your grenade option until it's thrown. You'll have until your class ability fully recharges to be able to throw this Barricade. And after using the Barricade, your normal grenade will become available again. The Barricade will inherit your selected class ability and its recharge time, but if you happen to be using thrusters, then the Barricade will default to a towering barricade. So what are the advantages of being able to throw a barricade? Well, for starters, any enemy who's within 5 meters of the barricade impact will instantly become disoriented. Disoriented enemies are temporarily taken out of combat, making them easy targets for you and allies. These barricades will provide the same benefits as any standard barricade, which means when Revenant launches, those barricades will taunt enemies whenever you or an ally are behind it. Barricades will now provide increased damage resistance and reduced splash damage, and rally barricades will continue to provide increased reload speed. Since you can preload a Barricade, you can also avoid the animation time of casting a standard barricade, which would normally leave you in a vulnerable position. Having the ability to throw your barricade opens up your ability to control each engagement, and it provides much more fluid movement. You can block off an alleyway to reduce incoming fire, or create cover to move forward, or to withdraw from an engagement. You can even provide cover to teammates who are further away from you. There is a negative side to this Barricade. If used improperly, without a teammate being aware, these could incidentally cause allies to blow themselves up if they happen to be using rockets or grenades. So it does call for a bit more field presence and awareness out of its user, and you need to be able to communicate to your teammates to avoid such issues. You might also find it to be more advantageous when in a team to use a rally barricade, so that allies are less likely to shoot through the barricade itself. Since the Barricades will trigger special interactions with Dringer's Lash and Bastion, we're going to have a lot of unique gameplay opportunities when using Arbor Warden on a Void, Strand, or Prismatic subclass. With key changes coming to both Unbreakable and Void Overshields, it'll be especially beneficial to run the Arbor Warden with Void, but I do find the Prismatic version to be much more reliable in terms of crowd control, damage output, and damage resistance. So let's go ahead and take a look at how the Prismatic subclass will benefit from having this exotic equipped, and then we'll come back around to the Void subclass. We start with our use of the Dringer's Lash aspect, which weaponizes your barricade by creating a wave of suspending detonations whenever barricades are created. This will suspend any enemy who's directly in front of the barricade and within 7 meters. Enemies will take a moderate amount of impact damage from the suspension, but not from the Barricade. Rank and file enemies will remain suspended for 5 seconds, with champions and high-ranking enemies staying for 3. Having this as a throwable option gives us what is essentially a souped-up version of a shackle grenade. This will give us a better ability to control the battlefield, as we'll be able to simultaneously protect ourselves and teammates. By adding on the Consecration aspect, we can instantly slam those suspended enemies, and with Frenzied Blades as our melee option, we'll have up to 3 charges of Consecration. And by using Shackle Grenades, we'll be able to perform multiple suspensions and consecrations in rapid succession, allowing Titans to take on the true form of a tank. When it comes to our choice in super, we are going with Twilight Arsenal, which will see improvements get made to its tracking. This continues to be one of the most powerful super options for Prismatic Titans, and in Revenant, the axes, when used as a relic, will deal 23% increased damage against enemies. When it comes to our selection of fragments, we could end up having some changes based on what the new artifact mods provide. But for now, we have Faceted Protection selected, which grants us a 15% bonus in damage resistance whenever we are surrounded by enemies. And when we're in our Transcendent state, that will be increased to 32%. We've got Facet of Dawn to give us Radiance after striking enemies with a Consecration or a Frenzied Blade. That'll give all of our weapons a 25% increase in damage, with the added benefit of piercing barrier shields. Since we're using a mixture of light and dark abilities, we are using Facet of Courage, so that our light-based abilities will deal 10% bonus damage whenever the enemy is affected by a darkness debuff, such as Suspensions or Unraveling. Since we don't have Knockout equipped to regenerate our health, we are using the Facet of Blessing, so whenever we defeat an enemy with a melee, we'll instantly trigger health restoration. We're also using the Facet of Purpose, so whenever we collect orbs, we're going to gain a Void Overshield because of our use of Twilight Arsenal. We are using the Heavy-Handed Gloves mod along with Reaper and a Harmonic Siphon mod, so we should be able to trigger those Void Overshields and their 70% damage resistance bonus pretty consistently. We're also using the Recuperation Boots mod, which is going to give us 70 health points whenever collecting an orb. So between Recuperation, Facet of Blessing, and Facet of Purpose, we're going to have a ton of health regeneration and damage resistance to make us damn near indestructible. The final fragment that we're using is Facet of Hope, which is going to help us regenerate our class ability faster. Whenever we have an elemental buff like Radiance or Devour, we will have a 60% increase to the regeneration rate of our class ability, allowing us to have our Barricade ability back much faster. To extend on that regeneration even further, we have elected to use the utility Kickstart Armor mod, so once we've collected orbs and we have armor charges, we'll generate up to 34% bonus class ability energy whenever we convert our Barricade into a Barricade. To improve the regeneration of all of our abilities, we have focused our character stats towards Discipline, Strength, and Resilience, and we've done that on both versions of this build, which will give us the quickest cooldown of our melee, grenade, and class ability energies. And with tier 10 resilience, we're going to have a 30% reduction to all incoming damage, which will greatly improve our ability to stay alive in in-game content. To play off of our use of suspending and consecrating enemies, we would ideally want to equip legendary weapons that come with either Strategist, Pugilist, or Demolitionist, so that we could regain ability energy even faster. And when it comes to exotic weapons, the Buried Bloodline is going to be one of the most versatile options right now because it weakens enemies and it grants Devour. When Devour is active, you'll gain increased grenade energy and health regeneration, helping us stay in the fight longer and helping us suspend more enemies. Alternatively, we could double down on our focus towards team support by using weapons like the No Hesitation Support Frame Auto Rifle, or a solar weapon like the Aberrant Action with Heal Clip. Whenever we use the Arbor Warden on a Void subclass, we are losing certain strengths of this build because we'll no longer have suspensions. We'll have more continuous overshields and health regeneration that we'll be able to share with teammates, which will greatly improve our overall survival, but we will be less effective in overall crowd control and damage output. When it comes to aspects, we are using a combination of Controlled Demolition and Bastion. Unbreakable will be getting some upgrades, but I still find this combination to be much more reliable. With Bastion, we're going to enhance our Barricade by granting ourselves and teammates with a Void Overshield. This will grant a 45-point overshield to anyone that's within 15 meters, and it'll continuously generate bonus shielding as you're standing behind it. Having this as a throwable option gives us a huge advantage in team support, as we'll be able to completely blockade enemy vantage points and protect allies from incoming damage. And with Controlled Demolition, we're going to be able to trigger health regeneration for us and allies. Void ability damage and volatile explosions will apply volatile to enemies. And when those volatile enemies explode, 90 points of health will be distributed to anyone within 40 meters. This will make it really beneficial to use weapons with destabilizing rounds, and one of the most deadly exotic options will be the Choir of One. When it comes to the best fragments, Echo of Persistence will give us extended duration to both Void Overshields and Devour. Echo of Starvation will grant Devour whenever collecting an orb, so now we're getting bonus health regeneration and bonus grenade energy. And because of Echo of Instability, whenever we defeat enemies with our grenades, our void weapons will apply Volatile, which is going to trigger Controlled Demolition. And with Echo of Leeching, we'll have a secondary means of triggering health regeneration, as this will begin after defeating enemies with charged and uncharged melees. The Void variant of Arbor Warden is going to provide a lot of overshields, a lot of damage resistance, and a lot of extra safety for you and teammates. But as I mentioned before, the Prismatic version is much more versatile, as it provides equal levels of team support but with much more power in terms of crowd control and damage output. We don't know what the new artifact mods for Revenant will be, but you can count on there being quite a few mods that will amplify either version of this build. With that said, I'll be getting an update out to everyone once those artifact mods and their abilities are known. But for now, that's going to wrap things up for us here on today's amazing Titan build, featuring the Arbor Warden, a build that will prove to be immensely beneficial in your efforts of completing in-game content during Revenant. If you need to make a copy of either version of this build, then be sure to visit my Mobalytics page, which is down in the description, and I'll be updating those links as those artifact mods become available. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Arbor Warden, the upcoming changes for Titan, and the current state of Destiny, so let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian, just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran, just looking for a new place to call home, then be sure to check out the Discord link that's down in the description and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.